Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Survey Research chapter. In this lecture video, I want to discuss the common types of questions that are used to gather data in survey research projects. There are three major categories of survey questions, or items: open-ended, closed-ended, and contingency. Open-ended questions are very straightforward. They do not suggest or include a response to the question, so the respondent is free to provide whatever response they would like. Discuss, describe, explain, how, and why are good verbs for open-ended questions because these questions open the door to whatever the respondent wants to say. Open-ended questions are the gold star of qualitative research because they're what allows researchers to capture meanings of important concepts in the subject's own words, and that's a key issue for obtaining high internal validity. Closed-ended survey questions are questions in which the respondent is either provided with pre-written answers or whose answer is suggested by the question wording. Considering the first question, should I eat this? Even if you didn't have the yes-no options provided on the survey, the wording of the question clearly suggests that the answer will either be yes, you should eat this, or no, you shouldn't. You can go beyond simple yes-no questions and still use closed-ended responses. For example, number 3 allows the respondent to pick a description of themselves, but they must select from a series of categories that have been developed and provided by the researcher. If you remember back from the fine-tuning your measures module, you have to be careful when you're providing option choices to your respondent to ensure that all categories are mutually exclusive and exhaustive. Mutually exclusive means that the respondent should only fit into one specific category, not 2 or more, and exhaustive means that all possible choices are provided. In question 3, respondents are given the option of "it varies" to indicate that they disagree with both the world traveler and the homebound descriptions. I could have also used an other category for the same exhaustiveness purposes. The last type of question is called a contingency question, or a skip and fill question like it's called in your textbook. Contingency questions are not given to every survey respondent. Instead, they're provided based on the responses or the response to the previous questions. For instance, here, question 23 asks the respondent if they've ever smoked marijuana before. If the respondent says no, then they skip to question 24. If the respondent says yes, though, then they're asked to complete a follow-up question that asks them about their frequency of use. You can ask a contingency question as a simple closed-ended question. The question could have read, if you smoked marijuana before, how many times have you smoked it? Then everybody would get that question. However, for exhaustiveness purposes, you would then have to include a never or not applicable option to the frequency question. And the big issue is that if you have multiple follow-up questions, the respondent can get bored or frustrated with the survey because they keep having to put no, not applicable, no, not applicable, no, not applicable, all the way down the survey. Contingency questions are useful because they allow the non-smoker to skip all of the follow-up questions without penalty while still not interfering with the data analysis that you're going to conduct later on. Now, I've shown you this poll question before in the qualitative research section, but I do want to go back to this because it's important to highlight here as well. Remember that the poll was offered in 2 different ways. Once via a closed-ended question with 5 specific answer options and an other category, and once via an open-ended question where the respondent could provide any answer that they wanted. And as you can see, the open-ended question obtained a lot of answers that were not reflected in the researcher's 5 options. However, open-ended questions, because of all the variation, are also more difficult to analyze, and they may make statistical analysis more problematic. So there is a time and a place for both types of questions, but you need to be aware of what happens when you force respondents to choose from a predetermined list. Easy enough lecture video, right? Well, join me in the next one, and we're going to discuss survey wording guidelines.